Okay, Dad's Drive Volume 2. I don't know how often I'm going to do these. I definitely enjoy doing them. The only thing I really dislike is having to edit them. My computer is just so slow on, well, first downloading from either Google Photos or from either the cloud, or even just uploading this onto my computer takes forever, and then having to wait for it to all render whenever it is completely done, and then uploading itself can take anywhere from about an hour and a half to, or more, just depending on the length of the video. When we were making really long videos, when I was doing like a 45-minute podcast, it would take 2 hours. Like, it was awful. I also did some research on some clip-on mics for my collar, and I think that'll help a lot with the echo in the car. Because using a microphone on a smartphone or a cell phone or even a camera, just the regular microphone that comes on with it, never sounds right, especially in an open area. They're good for up close. They're good for, if you're FaceTiming your friend, if you're on the phone. But when you're far away like this, it just does not catch any dynamic sound. I sound really tinny, and I can hear the noise inside the car as well. So I think getting a lapel mic will help a lot with that. I really do. I found one for like $20, and the reviews are all great. There were some videos of people using it, showing the difference between that microphone and the microphone on their shirt, and I think it's going to be fine for what I need it to be. When I moved here, I thought, a 45-minute drive to work, that's not bad. I'm a half hour from the beach, and I'm 45 minutes away from work. I got to get to the beach and then drive up the beach to get to work. Thought it's not that bad, but every day, it does get quicker if I'm listening to music. It goes by really fast, but a lot of it is just driving, and usually I like. But where I'm from, the roads were a little bit more curvy. It was more of a, it was fun to go out and drive these roads. Here, it's just flat. It's just, every road is just flat, usually straight with a slight turn. When you get into town, a lot of it is a grid. I say town. When you get to the beach, it's mostly on a grid. 23rd, 24th, 25th Avenue, straight down to the beach. You've got Beach Boulevard or Ocean Boulevard, and then you've got Highway 17, Kings Highway, and then you've got roads in between those two. Driving here is just a lot more uneventful than back home. And West Virginia has some bad roads. They've definitely, they've got some potholes and some rough, but they're fun. They're curvy and they're banked, and I do miss being able to turn and then just see like hillside next to you. Like, it almost feels like you drive up on the hillside and then back on the road. And here, nothing, just flat. I guess Dad's drive time wouldn't be complete without talking about cars, right? What I'm in right now is probably the newest car I've ever owned. And it is the newest car I've ever owned. Yeah. No, I guess it wouldn't be. In 2013, I had a 2012 Camaro. So that was the newest car I ever owned. This isn't a Camaro. This is a 2016 Chevy Impala LTZ. It's the top trim line, so it's got all the bells and whistles. So in 2017 or 2018, in that model, they actually introduced adaptive cruise control and lane assist. And the lane assist that this has just beeps when you go over the line, which you actually hear in the last video. So this one though doesn't have lane assist that actually holds you in the lane and turns it. Now when I bought it, I thought it did, because in the listing it said lane assist, but it does not. Now, adaptive cruise control, I have had cars with adaptive cruise control. My Camaro actually had it, I believe. And it does exactly what it sounds like. You set it to, 65, 60, whatever. And if you get close to a car that's going slower than you, it'll automatically slow down for you. Then you can pass them, because people who drive slow cause more wrecks than people that drive fast. But so far, the reason I bought this car is that I needed a car that could hold 2 car seats. I didn't want another SUV. I just didn't need it. My drive is too long for something a little bit bigger, and the mileage that I get on this is actually pretty good. I get about 30 miles to the gallon, and it's a big car. And what's saddening is that they're actually going to stop making the Impala in 2019. 2019 will be the last year. And the reason being is that people aren't buying full-size sedans anymore. They're buying crossovers and SUVs. Because somewhere along the line, people stopped driving big cars and started driving small SUVs if they have a family. And I understand, I had an SUV, and it was great to load up all the stuff with the kids. We had to have a pack and play. We had to grab a double stroller. We had to grab all this stuff to go anywhere, because not only do we have 1 kid, we had 2 kids. And the first kid only napped in one of those swings, and that swing was huge. And actually, funny enough though, it would have fit in this trunk, because this trunk is 18 cubic feet. It's a huge trunk. You could hold like 5 bodies in it. Another great thing is all the leg room in the back. There's room for the for both of the car seats, rear facing, and that sticks out quite a bit. And even stretching out the legs and bringing it forward more so that they have more leg room, for the kids to have more leg room. This also has room for 3 full-size adults in the back with me. I'm 6'2", 6'3". When I pull my seat back where it needs to be, somebody can still sit back there and have ample leg room. Now, usually I was always more of a performance car, muscle car kind of guy, and I never wanted just a normal car. But after with the kids, having just a normal 2-door coupe, it just wouldn't work. It's not going to work right now. It'll work later, I think. I'd like to get a Camaro later on, another Camaro. I've had a Mustang. The last car I had was a 1980 Malibu with a 350 and 700 R4 transmission. Loved that car. That car was a lot of fun. It was loud. The 350 that was in it was out of an old truck, so it was just a big old truck motor. I ended up selling it for the down payment on my house. I sold it to one of my best friend's dad, and he still has it. He still drives it all the time from what I hear. He takes it to car shows. He really, really, really likes it. But my first car was a 1982 Trans Am. To be fair, at the same time, I had a 2005 Grand Prix. Doesn't really count. But my first car that I actually bought was a 1982 Trans Am. Had a wimpy 305, a 3-speed automatic, but it was super, super loud. And it was beautiful. It was in great shape. The guy I bought it off of actually had it for the last 30 years. Like, he bought it in 1983 or 1984, and I picked it up in 2012. The guy had it most of his adult life, ever since he was in high school. He kept really good care of it. There was one issue with the paint. He said about a couple of weeks after he bought it, back in 1983, 1984, whenever that was, somebody keyed it. They keyed down the side just to be an asshole, I guess. So he had to have the paint kind of faded in on one of the quarter panels, and it was back when they used to heat it. So you'd paint it and you'd heat it to try to get it to fade, and in the sunlight it didn't look that great. I ended up selling that car on eBay. I sold it to a guy in Florida, unseen. He bought it. He messaged me on eBay. I also had it listed on Craigslist, and he actually found it on both places. We cut a deal, and he bought it. And he ended up doing something really interesting that I'd like to try sometime. I can't afford it right now. But he went through, I think it was Haggerty Insurance or something like that, where they finance cars that are unfinanceable. Because you can't go to a bank and say, hey, I need, $6,000 for this car that's, 30-some years old. They won't do it because it's not worth it to them. To them, that blue book on that car, blue book or whatever they find the value to be, maybe way less than what it's actually worth to somebody. So I sell that Trans Am to a guy in Florida, unseen. He sends a guy to come and check it for that loan. Just marked a couple of little scratches and stuff on it, which it was in perfect shape because I just had it repainted. And the reason I had it repainted, well, maybe that's for another story time. But so the day comes and this guy sends his hauler to come get it. He uses one of those cross-country car shuttle services. And I have to drive it up to this guy, sign the paper saying that I'm dropping it off. And I had to watch him drive it onto this car carrier. And the funniest thing, my friend was there, I think my friend Troy was there. And because I needed a little bit of emotional support for getting rid of this car, because I loved the car. I don't know what I was thinking about selling it, because back then I was in the high kind of markup. I was more expensive when I sold it. I actually sold it at $6,000. I only bought it for $4,000, and honestly, at the time it was barely worth $6,000. The market just wasn't there for them. Third gen Trans Ams and Camaros weren't worth a lot of money at the time. You could get a pretty decent one for like $3,000. $4,000 I thought was kind of high for it. It was actually $145,000. But I sold it for $6,000. Now I can't touch one in the same shape of mine for less than $10,000. I found a couple in the area down here in the North Myrtle Beach area, and they were all just either really ratted out. And it's not just the area. I'm talking with the T-tops, they leaked. And when they leak, you get nasty looking seats, you get moldy seats, you get rusted floorboards. It's not just that, it's just the paint. They weren't well taken care of. People driving around just not giving a shit. So now they are one that's in the same condition that mine was in, costs anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000. And I found a couple of them for $10,000 to $12,000. I'm not paying that much for it. But anyway, I loaded onto the car hauler, and I'm damn near crying because it was, my first car. I was a huge Knight Rider fan. I wanted to make a kit replica out of it, but the GM purist in me, or the car purist, I like all car brands, didn't want to mess with it. I wanted to keep the gold and the black whenever I got it repainted. I do miss that car though. That was a nice car. What was your favorite car, and do you miss it? Would you buy another one? Alright, I'm going to wrap this video up. Again, I'm about 10 minutes away from work, and I'm gonna prepare myself to start my day. I hope this series takes off. I'd like to do more of them because I do enjoy talking like this. So give a like and subscribe, and I'd really appreciate it, and I'll come back with some more. Alright, so I just left Walmart, had to stop and get a couple of things, just some milk and some diapers. You know what really grinds my gears? Is after you spend all that time shopping for what you need, getting through the crowd, then you get up front, and all the fucking lines are a mile long, we've only got 2 registers out of 50 open. And then as you get ready to leave, you gotta wait in line again, because somebody's got to check the receipt to make sure you didn't steal anything you're going to carry out. If you don't want people to steal stuff or walk out the door without it being paid for, then why have self-checkout? Because self-checkout literally works off the honor system, and I don't get me wrong, I love it. I use it a lot. But if you're having such a problem with people stealing stuff, it's because they're probably going through self-checkout and not scanning everything, just putting it back right in their cart, and not paying for it. That's why you got to check it off. But I'm someone who's in a fucking hurry. That's why I went to self-checkout. I don't need to stop and wait for you to check off. I got 2 things. I got milk and I got diapers. Probably 2 of the most stolen things, though, really, when you think about it. Diapers and wipes. It's a double-edged sword, though, because I understand why they do it. I do. And the person doing it isn't doing it because they want to. So taking it out on them helps nobody. Being rude to that person helps nobody. Oh well, what do you think about it?